Hey there, and welcome to Family Revenge. We're so glad you're here. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you can stay with us for every twist and turn. Let's jump right in. I'm Maria. I was 30 when it happened, but that's not the important part. What matters is this. I left my 9-month-old daughter with my cousin Lexi, just for a quick trip to the mechanic. Lexi had watched my daughter a couple of times before, and it had always been fine. No issues. So I left her with a bottle, some notes, wipes, everything. The mechanic's only a few blocks away, and I figured I'd walk to clear my head. The job was done sooner than I thought, so I texted Lexi, telling her I'd be home in a bit. But she didn't answer. No big deal at first. It wasn't like she had to answer immediately, but when I got home and unlocked the door, something felt off. The house was quiet. Too quiet. No voices, no baby sounds. I glanced around. The crib was untouched. The diaper bag still by the door. The pacifier on the table. Nothing had moved. There was no sign they'd even left. I called her again, and finally Lexi picked up. She said she was coming up now. I opened the door. She was alone. No baby. Scene 2. The Stranger. Lexi said she left my daughter with a buddy, a guy she'd met on a poker app. Just for 10 minutes, she said. My heart dropped. I demanded she tell me where he lived. She hesitated, but by then I was already moving toward the door. I wasn't waiting around for any more explanations. We ran to his building a few blocks away, and as we got closer, I heard it. My daughter crying. The kind of cry that makes your chest hurt. Lexi knocked, and a 19-year-old opened the door. He was clearly not the guy. Inside, 3 other guys were there. They were trying to keep my daughter calm with frozen peas and TV remotes. They didn't even stop me when I grabbed her from one of their arms. Not a word. One of them, the oldest looking, asked, "Why would anyone leave a baby with strangers?" And all I could think was, how the hell did I get here? Scene 3. History of enabling. Lexi and I were raised like sisters. Our moms were sisters too, and when her parents split, my aunt moved in with us. I was told I had to look after her. "You're the older one, Maria. She needs you." I helped with everything. School pickups, homework, meals. I took care of her. Then I went off to college, barely holding it together. I worked part-time, barely ate, did homework late into the night. But Lexi, she had a steady stream of help. Whenever she stumbled, someone was there to catch her. And I wasn't supposed to need anything. When I found out I was pregnant, my aunt called. She needed my help for Lexi's college prep. 1 semester turned into 2, and then I was covering her tuition, her rent, her food. I even set up a savings account for her. The one thing I didn't expect, didn't ask for, was trust. And that died the moment I came home to an empty house. Scene 4. The Reckoning. I sat down that night and did the math. 3 years of helping her out, $29,000 in savings, gone. Every last cent I'd worked for, gone. I didn't text or call her. I didn't give any explanations. I just shut it all down, canceled every card, every automatic transfer. I was done. I expected her to call, maybe apologize, maybe lie, but mostly I thought she'd beg. But instead, it was my aunt who called. "What did you do to Lexi?" she asked, voice sharp. I told her flatly that I wasn't helping anymore. My aunt tried to guilt-trip me. "She's your cousin," she said. I wasn't having it. "She endangered my kid," I told her. I'm done. Scene 5. The Gaslight Texts. It didn't take long for Lexi to start texting. "It was just for a second," she wrote. Nothing happened. She was safe. She was spinning it like I was overreacting, like I was the crazy one. She kept pushing, saying I'd regret it. I didn't answer right away, but when I did, I told her, "You're right. She's my kid. Just like your life is yours. No more money, she didn't get it." To her, this was just a timeout, but not to me. This time, I didn't feel guilty. I felt clear. Scene 6. The Smear Campaign. 3 days later, a client called. He said he got a weird DM from Lexi, something about me being unstable and unreliable. She had gone through her friend's younger brother to send the message, trying to blackball me. I found a vague post on her profile, something like, "Some people pretend to help you but will destroy you when it counts." I started getting messages from mutual friends, former clients, all concerned. I said nothing. Not publicly, at least. But I saved everything. Then I got in touch with a defamation lawyer. Scene 7. Legal fire starter. The lawyer said the context alone made it a clear defamation case. He drafted a cease and desist, giving her 2 options: take everything down or face legal action. I mailed it straight to her house. 2 days later, my aunt showed up at my door. She was furious. "You're ruining the family," she yelled. I didn't back down. I reminded her that Lexi had endangered my kid and then tried to mess with my career. My aunt looked at me, shaking her head. "You used to be kind," she said. "No," I told her. "I used to be silent." Scene 8, the fallout. The post vanished within a day. No apology, no updates. Just gone. Lexi texted, "Happy now?" I didn't respond. I blocked her. Then I blocked my aunt. Weeks passed, and the silence was thick. But I wasn't waiting anymore. I saw Lexi's posts shift. Less partying, more #hustle, subtle digs about betrayal, about people who punish forever. I didn't care. What mattered was this. My aunt had taken out a mortgage to help Lexi finish school. They never did that for me. Not once. And that's when it really hit me. They had made their choice a long time ago. Now, I was making mine. Scene 9, rebuilding. I slowed down at work, said no to extra projects, and spent more time with my daughter. She was crawling now, talking, laughing at things I didn't even understand. I stopped explaining myself, stopped justifying my decisions. The world didn't fall apart when I stopped carrying everyone else. My husband noticed. I laughed more. I slept better. I showed up for myself. The silence was still there, but I wasn't scared of it anymore. Scene 10, the new line. A few months later, my aunt left a voicemail. "We're cooking Sunday, just the usual. Are you bringing the baby?" I texted back, "No, we won't be coming." "Why not?" she asked. I replied, "Because I don't want people around my daughter who think what happened was just a mistake." No reply. And that was it. Life went on. Diaper runs. Toddler tantrums, late night emails, normal stuff. Lexi kept posting vague martyr quotes. I didn't care. I had finally learned something solid. Pulling the knife out hurts, but after that, you heal. I wasn't the safety net anymore. I was just me. And that was enough. I pushed open the door and Lexi followed me, hesitating just a little too long. "I don't know, Maria. Maybe it's not such a good idea." I didn't wait for her to finish. I wasn't asking for her permission anymore. The panic in my chest felt like it was suffocating me, but I kept moving. She had screwed up, and now I was going to fix it. "Show me where he lives," I demanded, already halfway down the stairs. She followed behind me, stumbling over her words, trying to explain, but I couldn't hear it anymore. I can't," she said, her voice shaking. He's not like that. He's just a friend. Just some guy from the app." We ran to the building. My breath was quick and shallow. Every step felt like a drumbeat in my chest. We were only a few blocks away, but it felt like 100 miles. The closer we got to the building, the worse the knot in my stomach twisted. And then I heard it. The cry. A sharp, high wail that could only be my daughter. I didn't need to hear it again to know it was bad. I sped up. My legs were moving before my brain even had time to catch up. Lexi was stumbling behind me, but I didn't care. The building door creaked open, and a guy who looked barely older than a kid stepped out. His eyes went wide when he saw me. He wasn't the guy. This was not who Lexi had described. "Where is she?" I demanded, not bothering to hide the fear or the fury in my voice. Who are you?" The guy blinked, looking like a deer caught in headlights. "Where is my baby?" I snapped, my voice getting sharper, more desperate. He stepped aside, just enough for me to squeeze past him into the apartment. I didn't even look at him. My eyes were locked on the small living room, where 3 guys were scattered around, trying, badly, to calm my daughter. One was holding a frozen bag of peas against her cheek like that was going to help. Another had a TV remote in his hand, hovering near her face like it could distract her. The third was pacing, looking around nervously like he wasn't sure what he was supposed to do. I couldn't even breathe for a second. My daughter's face was red from crying. Her little body was stiff with tension, eyes wide and scared. She was still too young to understand what was going on, but I sure as hell did. Without a word, I grabbed her. I didn't ask, I didn't explain. I just reached out and took her, clutching her tightly against me. The smell of her, baby lotion, milk, and something faintly like fear, made my stomach twist. One of the guys opened his mouth like he was going to say something, but he shut it quickly when he saw me. "Why would anyone leave a baby with strangers?" he muttered, not really to me, more like to the air, but I heard it. The words stung. My mind was a blur, but one thing was crystal clear. I was done. I turned, already walking back toward the door, the guy still standing there, frozen, like they weren't sure what to do either. They didn't stop me. They didn't say a word as I passed them. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. I had what mattered most in my arms. I was raised with Lexi like sisters. After her parents divorced, my aunt moved in with us for a while. It wasn't just a few months, it was years. I was always told, "You're older, Maria. She needs you." And I did it. I helped with everything: school pickups, meals, homework. I made sure she was okay, because that's what you do for family, right? But I didn't get help, not when I needed it. In college, I barely kept it together, working part time, studying full time, barely sleeping. I survived on ramen and coffee, just trying to stay afloat. But Lexi, she was always the one who got a hand up. Whenever she stumbled, someone was there to catch her. My aunt, my mom, someone from their friend circle. It didn't matter. They were there. I didn't ask for help. I didn't expect it. I just kept going. It wasn't until I got pregnant that things started to shift. My aunt called me. It was during my second trimester, maybe. She asked me to help with Lexi's college prep. I didn't have a lot of money, but I said yes. One semester became two. Then it was tuition, rent, food, everything. I even set up a savings account for her. Under my name, because that's what she needed, right? I thought, it's fine. She's family. But somewhere in there, I began to realize I wasn't just helping. I was holding her up, and nobody was holding me. I'd done everything for her. But when I came home to an empty house, it felt like my whole world crumbled. It wasn't just the fact that Lexi had left my daughter with some stranger she met online. It was the betrayal, the quiet kind that eats away at your bones, the kind that made me wonder what I had been doing for years. I wasn't her sister. I wasn't even her cousin anymore. I was just a resource. I had been used for so long, giving and giving and getting nothing in return. No gratitude, no respect, not even a damn thank you. It wasn't just money I'd poured into her. It was time, energy, trust. I looked back, thinking of all those years, all the things I had done. I never got to be a kid. I was always the one who had to be the grown-up, who had to make sure everything was okay. And now, I was standing there, holding my daughter, the one person in my life I'd always know I could protect. And I realized that Lexi had never been my responsibility. She wasn't a little sister. She was someone who had taken too much. And I was done. That night, after everything had gone down, I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop, staring at the numbers, the harsh, cold numbers. $29,000, 3 years, all gone. I couldn't breathe. The savings account I'd built up over the years, the emergency fund I'd put aside for a rainy day, all of it had disappeared into Lexi's life, into her school stuff she never needed. The account I'd set up in my name for her too, gone. She'd used it all up. And I was still standing here, holding the pieces of what was left of my own life, wondering how the hell I hadn't seen it before. I didn't send a message. I didn't call her. I didn't ask for explanations. I just shut it all down. I canceled every card, every auto transfer, one by one. Done. The money would never flow from my account to hers again. I expected her to reach out, maybe beg, maybe lie, maybe send me some sad text about how she was going through a tough time. I thought she might even try to guilt trip me, like she always did. But she didn't. Instead, it was my aunt who called. I saw her name pop up on my phone, and my stomach twisted. "What did you do to Lexi?" she demanded, voice sharp, like I had just committed the worst possible crime. I didn't hesitate. I said it flatly, without emotion. "I'm not funding her anymore." There was silence on the other end. I could practically hear her brain scrambling to process what I'd just said. Then, she fired back with her usual guilt trip. "She's your cousin, Maria. She's family." I felt my blood pressure rise. I couldn't hold back the frustration anymore. "I'm not investing in someone who endangered my kid," I said, my voice steady but cutting. I meant every word. I wasn't backing down. "You're just going to let her fall apart like this? You're not going to help her?" My aunt's voice wavered between anger and pleading. "No," I said firmly. "I'm not." My aunt didn't say anything for a long time, and when she did, her words were heavy with disappointment. "I never thought you'd be this cold." "Well, you never thought I'd stop either," I shot back. She sighed, a long, defeated sound. "You used to be kind, Maria. You used to help." "No," I said, cutting her off. "I used to be silent. I used to let you all do whatever the hell you wanted with me, with my time, my money, my trust. But not anymore." The silence on the other end of the phone was thick, like my aunt didn't know how to react. Like maybe she was seeing me for the first time? I could feel the weight of the words hanging in the air, both of us trying to figure out what came next. But I didn't need her approval anymore. I had made my decision. I have to go, I said finally. I didn't wait for a response. I hung up before she could say another word. I sat there for a moment, the phone still in my hand, heart racing in my chest. It wasn't just about the money. It was about everything. The years of bending over backward for Lexi, the constant sacrificing of myself, the way I let people use me. It was over. I was done. Lexi started texting me that night, of course. I should have known. It wasn't a surprise. She always did this, downplaying everything, making it sound like I was the crazy one. Her first text came through like a stab in the chest. It was just for a second, Maria. Nothing happened. I stared at the screen for a few seconds, trying to keep my hands from shaking. It wasn't just for a second. She left my daughter with a guy she met on a poker app. I wanted to scream. Instead, I sat there, trying to breathe, trying not to let her get under my skin. Another text came through. She was safe, okay? Nothing happened. You're overreacting. Overreacting? Overreacting? My hands balled into fists as I read it. Was she serious? Was this really happening? I typed back, slow and steady. You're right. She's my kid. Just like your life is yours. No more money. I hit send before I could second-guess myself. For the first time in years, I wasn't second-guessing myself. Her next message came within seconds. You always bounce back, Maria. You'll be fine. You'll see. You'll regret this. I stared at the message, my heart sinking. She still didn't get it. She still didn't understand that this wasn't a timeout or a little setback for me. This wasn't a game anymore. Another text popped up. I don't get it. I'm just trying to help, and you're acting like I'm the enemy. I shook my head, a bitter laugh escaping me. Help? She was never trying to help. She was taking, and I was done giving. Help? I typed back. You think you're helping? You put my daughter in danger. You crossed a line, Lexi, and now I'm done. She didn't respond for a while. I let the silence sit there, thick and heavy. The silence felt like peace to me. But it wasn't peaceful for her. Then another text came in. I can't believe you're doing this. I thought we were family. I thought about all the years I'd spent trying to fix everything for her, trying to be the person she could rely on. But when it counted, when it really mattered, she couldn't see past her own selfishness. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. For the first time in a long time, I felt clear. No guilt, no hesitation. I had drawn a line, and I wasn't crossing it. Not for her, not for anyone. A final text came through. Fine. Go ahead. Cut me off. You'll regret it. I'll be fine. I always am. I didn't even look at it. I deleted it before I could feel anything other than relief. Lexi didn't get it. She thought this was some kind of timeout. She thought I'd come crawling back, like I always had. But I wasn't going to. Not this time. I felt no guilt, no doubt. Just a quiet certainty I'd never had before. 3 days later, my phone rang. I almost didn't pick up, figuring it was just another one of Lexi's texts or some other nonsense. But it was a client, the kind of client I couldn't afford to lose. Maria, he said, voice tight, like he was still trying to figure out what was going on. I got a weird DM from Lexi. I felt my stomach twist. I didn't even need to hear the rest. He went on. She said you were unstable and unreliable, said I should watch my back. I was silent for a second, just trying to take it in. She wasn't even pretending anymore. She wasn't just pissed off. I was a target. She contacted me through my younger brother, he continued, sounding confused. I don't know what's going on, but it feels off. I could hear the hesitation in his voice. He didn't want to believe it, but the seed was planted. And that's exactly what Lexi wanted. Thank you for telling me, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I'll take care of it. I hung up and went straight to her social media. I hadn't been keeping track of her posts. I didn't need to, but something told me I had to now. I scrolled through her feed, my eyes landing on a vague post. Some people pretend to help you but will destroy you when it counts. It was like a slap across the face. Everyone who saw that would know exactly who she meant. There was no question in my mind that I was the target. A few seconds later, my phone buzzed with notifications. Mutual friends, former clients, even a few coworkers had started messaging me. They were worried. Some were angry. A few were just confused. Is this about you? One message asked. Are you okay? Another one read. I didn't answer right away. I couldn't. My head was spinning, my thoughts too jumbled. But I saved every single message, every screenshot, just in case. This wasn't just her being petty anymore. This was a smear campaign, and it was spreading like wildfire. After a few minutes, I felt that familiar burn of anger in my chest. It wasn't just frustration, it was something deeper, something colder. She had crossed a line I didn't think was possible, and now I had to protect myself. I called a defamation lawyer. He didn't mince words. It's clear, he said. Even without naming you directly, she's making it clear who she's talking about. The context makes it a liability. He outlined my options: cease and desist, legal action, all of it. I felt my heart pound in my chest as he spoke. I wasn't used to this. I was used to keeping the peace, to letting things slide. But not anymore. I told him to draft the letter. I wasn't letting this go. By the time I had the letter in hand, I had a decision to make. I could send it quietly and hope it worked, or I could make sure she understood this wasn't a game. I chose the latter. I had the cease and desist mailed directly to her house. I wanted her to see exactly what I was capable of now. I wanted her to know I wasn't playing by the old rules anymore. The silence that followed was almost worse than the constant text messages. But I wasn't waiting for an apology. I wasn't waiting for anything anymore. 2 days later, I was sitting at the kitchen table, sorting through emails, when I heard a knock at the door. It was sharp, demanding. I knew who it was before I even opened it. My aunt stood on the other side, her face flushed with anger, hands clenched at her sides. "What have you done, Maria?" she spat, stepping into the doorway before I could say a word. "You're ruining the family." I didn't flinch. I didn't even move. I just stood there, the weight of what I had done sitting heavy on my chest. But I wasn't going to back down. Not now. "You think I'm ruining the family?" I asked, voice steady. "She almost got my kid hurt, and now she's messing with my job. But I'm the one ruining things?" My aunt's face twisted. She took a step toward me, her eyes wild with frustration. "She's your family, Maria. You don't do this to family." I shook my head, feeling my anger rise. "No, I don't do this to my kid. I don't put her in danger for anyone, not even Lexi." My aunt's shoulders slumped, and she let out a long, exhausted sigh. "You used to be kind. You used to help?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "No," I said, my voice colder than I intended. "I used to be silent." Her eyes widened, like she hadn't expected me to fight back. But I wasn't going to apologize. I wasn't going to beg for forgiveness, not when I knew what I had to do. "You don't get it," she said quietly, her voice trembling with emotion. "She's struggling. She needs you." "I'm done being her safety net," I shot back. "She doesn't need me to bail her out every time she makes a mess of her life." Not anymore. For a long time, neither of us spoke. The silence between us felt like a barrier I couldn't cross, a wall I wasn't going to tear down. She wasn't going to get it. She wasn't going to see it from my side. My aunt sighed again, this time with a heavy, disappointed weight. "You're turning your back on family, Maria." "That's what this is. I'm not turning my back on anyone," I said, my voice quiet but firm. "I'm just stopping the bleeding. I'm not going to keep pouring myself into a wound that won't heal." She didn't respond to that. Instead, she looked at me, shaking her head like she was seeing a stranger. She took a step back toward the door, but before she left, she turned to face me one last time. "You'll regret this," she said, her voice hollow. "You'll see." I didn't argue with her. I didn't need to. I was done with the guilt trips. I was done trying to make everyone happy. "Goodbye, Aunt. Don't come back unless you want to see the letter," I said, and I could hear the finality in my words. She didn't say anything else. She just turned and walked out, leaving me standing there, the door still open, the sound of her footsteps fading into the quiet of the house. And for the first time in years, I felt like I had made the right choice. No more silent sacrifices. No more putting everyone else first. I was done being silent. The post vanished the next day, just gone. No apology, no explanation, no acknowledgement at all that anything had even happened. It was like she'd never posted it. But the damage was already done, and I knew better than to believe she was sorry. Then I got a text from Lexi. "Happy now?" I didn't respond. I just blocked her. No second guessing, no hesitation. I blocked her from everything. Social media, my phone, everything. And then, without thinking twice, I blocked my aunt too. I wasn't going to let her drag me back into the middle of this. Not again. Weeks went by, and the silence that followed wasn't peaceful. It was just weird. The kind of quiet that makes your skin crawl, like the air has changed, but you're not sure what to do about it. I didn't hear from either of them. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't waiting for anything. Not an apology, not an explanation, not a change of heart. I was done waiting, but I wasn't completely free of them. I saw their posts. Lexi's first. At first, it was the usual selfies, nights out, random rants about life. But then the tone started to shift. Less partying, more hashtag hustle. The posts were vague, but I knew exactly what they were about. Some people don't understand what it means to give everything and get nothing. Betrayal always comes from the ones you trust. Some people punish forever. They'll never forgive. I didn't feel guilty anymore. I just felt clear. This wasn't about me anymore. It was about her and the life she'd chosen. A few weeks later, I learned my aunt had gone back to work. She'd taken out a mortgage to help Lexi stay in school. They hadn't done that for me, not once. I couldn't remember a time when they'd ever done that for me. But now they were ready to go all in for Lexi. That's when it really hit me. They had made their choice years ago. It wasn't just the money or the constant taking, it was everything. They'd chosen her, and I had spent my whole life hoping for the same, hoping that maybe, one day, I'd matter enough to be prioritized. But I didn't, and now I knew I never would. And that was okay, because I had made my choice too. I had chosen to stop being the person they could lean on for everything. I had chosen to stop living my life for anyone else. I wasn't waiting for their approval anymore. I wasn't waiting for anything. Not their guilt, not their pity, not their love. I was done. And for the first time in years, I felt free. I started pulling back at work. It wasn't sudden, but it was clear. I said no to more projects, no to more meetings, no to anything that didn't matter. I realized I'd been overcommitting to other people's priorities for years, letting my own fall to the side. Now, I was reclaiming my time. Instead, I spent more of it with my daughter. She was crawling now, her little hands pushing her across the floor with determination. She was talking too, a few words here and there, stringing them together in her own way. And her laugh, that sound, I could never get enough of it. She'd laugh at things I didn't even understand, like when I accidentally bumped into the chair or when the dog rolled over for the 10th time in a row. I didn't have to explain or justify anything to her. She just loved. I stopped trying to explain myself to anyone, really. The guilt I used to feel for saying no, it was gone. I didn't have to justify my time, my energy, my choices anymore. The world didn't fall apart without me holding it together. In fact, it felt like it was getting better. My husband noticed, of course. He noticed everything, and this time, it was different. I laughed more now, not just for him, but for me. I slept better, waking up without that heavy, crushing weight of expectations. I wasn't trying to be everything for everyone. I was just showing up for myself. The silence from Lexi and my aunt lingered, but it wasn't deafening like it used to be. It wasn't the kind of quiet that made you wonder what was missing. It was just space, and I wasn't scared of it anymore. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I could breathe, without the guilt, without the pressure, without the weight of being the one who always had to make things work. I was building something new, and for the first time in forever, I didn't need to explain it to anyone. It was mine. A few months later, my phone buzzed with a voicemail from my aunt. I wasn't in the mood to listen to it, but I did anyway, figuring I could at least delete it later. "We're cooking Sunday." Just the usual. "Are you bringing the baby?" Her voice was warm, like nothing had happened, like everything was fine. I didn't feel like playing along. I was done pretending. I texted back, "No, we won't be coming." She didn't wait long to reply. "Why not?" I took a breath and typed out my response. Because I don't want people around my daughter who think what happened was just a mistake. The phone sat in my hand. No reply, and I was fine with that. Life moved on after that, as it does. There were diaper runs, toddler tantrums that never seemed to end, and late-night emails that kept me busy enough to keep my mind off the things I couldn't control. Normal stuff. The kind of things that matter more than the noise from people who weren't going to change. Lexi didn't stop. Her post kept coming. Those vague martyr quotes that were always just cryptic enough to make you wonder who they were for. I didn't care. She could post whatever she wanted. I'd stop letting her affect me. I had finally learned something solid, something I could hold on to. Pulling the knife out hurts, but after that, you get to heal. The wound doesn't close right away, but you start to notice the pain fades. Slowly, quietly. I wasn't the safety net anymore. I wasn't the person people could fall back on every time they screwed up. I was just me. And that was enough. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I could live with that.